Oh, yeah. You can use it too. I'll get Hey, can I get the music turned off? The music. Perfect, thank you. All right, Rick, here we go.
All right.
Who needs an intro? We're just going to do it ourselves here.
Hey,
tonight.
let's do it.
You ready to go?
I'm ready, buddy.
All right, Monday Night Live on a Wednesday night. We kind of have a habit doing this sometimes this time of year.
Depends on scheduling, basketball.
It depends on the scheduling. We've had a little crazy schedule, and it might be that way for a few weeks before we get back on. But Rick, thanks for joining us to start another episode. But we've got a lot to talk about. We've got two great guests tonight. We've got Lewis County head coach Scott Tackett, his assistant coach Joe Hampton. Both coaches are legends, are very good at what they do, and they're actually going to be back in West Liberty in a couple of weeks to take on the Cougars.
Yeah,
so we're going to pick their brain a little bit and see what they're going to do. But I know Coach Hampton over here.
Try to find their defense out. What kind of defense they're going to
Yeah, we're going to find out a lot from them tonight. So when they come to West Liberty in a couple of weeks, we got to make sure that our crowd is really into it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got to give these guys all kinds of grief over here. So you could talk all the trash you want to these guys here tonight. But I'm very, very thankful to have Coach Tackett and Coach Hampton, two great coaches and great people to join us tonight. But before we get to them, we've got a couple things to clean up first. Also, I want to thank my sponsors for making this possible. First of all, thanks to B Acapulco Restaurant, Perfecto Cruise. Thank you so much. Also, we're sponsored by West Liberty Vet Clinic of West Liberty, Bank of the Mountains, Commercial Bank, UK St. Clair, and Vicky Ofield, Paragon Partners Real Estate. We're going to get to those little commercial breaks ourselves here in a minute. But Rick, voice of the Cougars here, 51 years total in the business. You saw the girls team play. Yeah, the girls played a really good Danville Christian the other night. How'd they go?
Oh, they did. They really did. The big girl for Danville Christian did not play. She signed with U of L. But young, I can't believe a team that young is that good, Chris. Danville Christian. And I think the Lady Cougars done well of a job trying to control them. Their average win spread last year was 25 points. The Lady Cougars did fall to 15. Lady Cougars just had Emma Klinger coming back after her surgery. Matter of fact, I had an interview scheduled with her. And I talked to Coach Young, and I said, now is she playing? No, she's not been released. Well, come to find out, she was just released as she got to the gym, so we had to cut the interview short, and, she got to play. She scored 15 points, and when I looked down at the stats, I said, wow, she does it silently. You know what I'm talking about? And I talked to her a little bit, not on air, but after the game, and she said she got winded, being out that long and so forth. And she had a hard fall, too, down there under the basket, and I just kind of held my breath. And she got up, I think she got a bruised hip out of it, but luckily no other serious injuries than that.
Right. Well, we said this time last year that the high school basketball season is a marathon and not a sprint.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes you're sprinting out there, and right out of the gate, you're playing some teams that are really going to test you. And that's only going to prepare you for late February when you want to be at your best going into district tournament play. So it is a hard schedule. But you know what? That's what you sign up for. That's what you want as a coach, as a basketball team. And I think the Lady Cougars are really going to grow from that.
That tough of a team coming in your first game, I think the coaches learned a lot from that, as well as the players. What do we need to do? And Lady Cougars are not embarrassed at all. I think the bench is thin. which we always have that problem.
Oh, yeah.
You know, boys and girls both, we always have that problem. But then on the flip side, the boys scrimmage last night, I thought it looked awesome. It's the first time I got to see them, play.
We've had delayed Blue Gold night, which was last night, so most everybody in the state of Kentucky has started their season, but, we haven't started yet. We'll start tomorrow night at Lawrence County. But last night, a lot of people got to see the athleticism of the boys team.
They did. I think the Cougars are going to be good. Rebuilding season. I think they worked really, really hard in the off season. I don't think we'll see the season that we did last year. Naturally, the Cougars lost 6 from last year. Coming up, one in transfer, the rest in graduation. But I was really impressed. I like the three-point shot. Parker Trusty, I think he done a really good job with his shot and moving the ball. He was always looking, for the open. They backed off, he'd pop a 3. Same with Cody Dagna.
Right.
He would do the same thing. I think this is going to be a very unselfish ball club, and if the shot's there, they're going to take it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things about this year's Morgan County team. They are versatile and they are athletic at all 5 positions. They're going to be able to shoot it. Of course, the big question, going to be able to rebound when it counts.
Right, exactly.
Big, strong, girthy teams like the team we'll talk to tonight, Lewis County. It's all about matchups in the 16th region. How well are you going to be able to match up? And athletically, speed-wise, This is a very fast team. It can get down and guard you a little bit. It can get after. It can shoot the ball very well. But what is their growth going to be going forward? What's their growth? They've got a big test tomorrow night, Lawrence County,
definitely.
On the road, one of the toughest places to play in the area.
Yeah, in
is
the
that
15th
Lawrence
region.
County.
I mean, they about rule up there.
Because I remember even as a coach in 03, we took one of our best teams we've ever had. We went up there and took an L to Lawrence County. So it's just a really tough place to play. And then we go to Jackson County on Saturday, another tough place in the 13th. Anytime you go to the 13th and 14th region,
it is.
They're tough places to play.
And especially on a Saturday at 5 o'clock, tip-offs at 5 o'clock. Right. That just messes up everybody's routine. But it also messes up Jackson County's routine as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think they've got a classic going on. And after our game on Saturday with Jackson County, I think Louisville Trinity is playing the 7 o'clock game. So you're going to see some really good basketball there. One of the better programs in the state if you want to stick around after our game there in McKee. But it's a good event. It's going to be a really good test for the Cougars. And then, like I say, the month of December is really busy. We've got 4 games next week. You've got Menifee, you got Elliott, I think you got McGoffin. You got Raceland next Saturday, and then the Lewis County Lions. You got head coach Scott Tackett sitting over here to our left, and Coach Hampton. They're going to bring they're a top 3 team, I think, in the 16th region, and you're going to see grown man basketball when they come in here on December the 17th. And it's there's always a great battle between Morgan and Lewis. They've played some outstanding games. We have a lot of stories to tell here a little bit later, and we're going to talk probably a lot about that 2003 team or 2004, the year we went to the state tournament. The toughest matchup for us in the region was Lewis County. They beat us in the EKC tournament. They had an outstanding guard named Tyler Clark who could flat fill it up. It was a tough matchup for us. Fortunately, Ashland, for us, I bring this up in front of Joe, beat them in the regional semifinals in overtime. And that Ashland was a much better matchup for us than it was for Lewis.
And a player I forgot to mention, though, talking about the Cougars, Eli Bradley. I think he brings a whole lot to the table with his guard play.
Yes, it's really big having Eli Bradley. The 6'2 sophomore is back this year. He's very physical, can get downhill, complements Asher Gamble really well.
He does.
So we really have the opportunity to have 4 different point guards on the floor. So that really frees up some kids to be able to play off the ball a little bit more, and so it makes them more diverse because Eli brings that diversity because he can guard you. He's going to be physical himself, and he can get downhill and score and take care of the basketball. You got to have that. If you can't take care of the basketball, you're going to struggle. That's just the way it is.
And another thing I like about Lewis County is not the talk of Boyd Ashland. You know what I'm talking about?
That's right.
They say Boyd Ashland. Lewis. They better say Lewis really loud.
That's right. And, that's what a lot of coaches in this region, too, and a lot of fans of the region have noticed. They've kind of seen this team build from within. And, those kids are from Vanceburg, they're from Lewis County, and they've grown together. I've kind of remembered when they were in middle school, and I've watched them grow too. I saw them this summer, and it was the summer game that we actually played Lewis, and we actually had a 14-point lead in that game, but they came back and won. But I said, this is the team that intrigues me the most of the 16th region because of their personnel. They've got really good personnel, and the coaches do a wonderful job. So I'm really excited to learn more about it tonight.
Last year I thought Lewis County would make that run last year, but it didn't work out. But I think this is their time to shine. Yeah,
that's right. And I'm sure Coach is going to talk, say all the coach speak here in a minute about what we're building for. We're preparing for late February and that March run, and then you get that fan base behind you. Morgan County has a huge fan base at tournament time.
They do.
Lewis County has a huge fan base at tournament time. Fleming County. So a lot of those county schools that the whole community really loses themselves into those good teams, and they follow those teams all year. When they get to Morehead State and they get in that regional semifinals, it provides an electric atmosphere because you got a couple thousand fans, and places like that really bring them in, makes an incredible atmosphere.
Another small school, Chris, I think may make a shine this year is Elliott County. They beat Fairview the other night. I think it was like 16, 18 points, Fairview, and they trailed at one time, and then they came back. Early it was tied at 12. And then Elliott County just kind of pulled away. So Morgan County's got Elliott County coming up as well. I think December the 13th. That's Morgan County's first home game here.
That's right. Our first home game is 12th or 13th. It's a good one tonight. A lot of people don't know it, but Menifee County and Elliott County are playing tonight. And I think that's a sneaky, really good basketball game between some kids that are offensively skilled. Brevin Ricker's very skilled at Menifee County. Aiden Manley, they're going to shoot about 85 to 90% of their shots. They can make them. But Elliott County, I like them as the favorite, obviously the 62nd, because of their experience. Those young kids have gotten a lot of experience the past 2 years on the varsity level. They've taken their lumps, but they've gotten physically bigger, faster, stronger too. So you have to kind of like them as a favorite. But it's the 62nd district. I watched East Carter play really well the other night for a half versus Fleming County. So they're very athletic. They're going to be well coached. They're going to be prepared. So this 62nd is going to be wild, as it always is, and there's a lot to look forward to this season.
In Elliott County with Lake Atkins, I think he's probably one of the top guards in the 16th region as well. Last year they went 5-25. I think this season they're going to make a run.
Right, it's all about experience, and he's gained a lot of that, gotten a lot stronger too. 3-level scorer, can get to the rim. So Rick, we've got a whole lot to talk about tonight, and I think it's what we should do now. We got to give thanks to these wonderful sponsors.
We do. Let's start out with Vicki Oldfield, Paragon Partners, Real Estate. Need help buying or selling a home? Be sure to call Vicki Pelfrey Oldfield, a lifelong resident of Eastern Kentucky. She knows the market and is always available to take your calls and texts. She takes pride in making sure her clients are given the respect and attention needed to help them with one of their life's most important decisions. Look her up on Facebook or call 606-477-0836.
Bank of the Mountains here in West Liberty, as the area's only family-owned bank, Bank of the Mountains is proud to be your local bank for more than 50 years. We reinvest local dollars to help communities we serve grow stronger. Our commitment to putting you and the communities we serve first. Stop in our offices today or visit online at botm.bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. Banker's hours too. I wouldn't go through all that. If you know the banker's hours, you know what they are.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
What else we got?
Let's holler out here at Commercial Bank, a wonderful sponsor. At Commercial Bank, we're more than just bankers. We're your friends and neighbors serving West Liberty for over 100 years. We're committed to helping you reach your financial goals. Commercial Bank, where friendliness prevails. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
One of the best veterinarians in the state of Kentucky. He's also kind of famous on Twitter. He's Doc Grassy Creek. West Liberty Veterinary Clinic, Dr. David Fugit, has served the hills of East Kentucky since 1963. We are pleased to accept small animal walk-in appointments or call anytime to schedule small animal surgeries or appointments for large animals. We look forward to serving our community by helping your furry family members. 743-3776. Also visit westlibertyvetclinic.com. Nobody cares more about their animals, all of his entire staff, than at West Liberty Vet Clinic.
Oh, West Liberty Vet Clinic is awesome. You can't get on the parking lot over there. I mean, people everywhere know about West Liberty Vet Clinic.
We're going to have Dr. Fugit on the show here.
It's going to be entertaining.
Yeah, he's always fun. He's going to tell a lot of cool stories, so you definitely want to be in attendance for that one. Also, I can't thank enough, UK St. Clair Healthcare. UK St. Clair is proud to be expanding access to healthcare in northeastern Kentucky with new services like endocrinology, plastic and reconstructive surgery, and orthopedic spine care. UK St. Clair is putting the community's health and well-being first. Advanced medicine, trusted care with UK St. Clair, and look for that new facility to be down here by Double Quick, I think. UK St. Clair will be having a facility here in West Liberty serving our residents very soon.
It won't be long.
No, can't wait. Rick, it's been fun.
Yeah,
we've got a couple of guests. We've got a lot of stories to tell. We'll probably tell a few lies or two, maybe.
Oh, of course.
If we can get that going. Maybe.
Anytime you talk to a coach, like talking to a lawyer and their mouth's moving their line. You know what I'm talking about?
That's exactly right. Well, these guys are really good at what they do. We're going to take a short break, even though you're going to still see behind the scenes if you're watching at home on Facebook Live, or subscribe on my YouTube channel. That's at Chris Trusty 0205. We also want to thank Mi Acapulco Restaurant. Also want to give an extra shout out to Appalachian Wireless, Darlene Howe, just like I want to give a special shout out to UK St. Clair, Kathy Thomas, two people in the marketing department that have really gone above and beyond of helping communities. And without Appalachian Wireless, Mountain Telephone here locally, we would not be able to do what we do. So we're very thankful for them as well.
Hey, I want to thank you, Chris, for doing this.
I
know. Morgan County's needed this for a long time. I thought we're a talk radio show, and naturally you're on the top of my list. You're very, very educated in sports, intelligent. You know a lot of people, and I want to thank you for doing this. People don't realize how much time you put into this. I mean, behind the scenes, a lot of time. So we appreciate you for what you do, buddy.
Well, thank you, Rick, very much. And as a parting gift, these were what I was supposed to give to you. Those are your press passes for cool hits.
I'll tell you, when you go on the road, you need a press pass.
There's your press passes that I've created. William Conley, we got his mug on here. We got John Brown's mug, and we've got your mug.
Oh, there you go. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you.
All right, thanks, Rick. We got Scott Tackett and Joe Hampton, head coach and associate head coach of the Lewis County Lions, joining us now. Yeah, come on.
Should have Lewis County fight song.
Yeah, do you guys know the Lewis County fight song?
It's the same as UK's.
Same as you.
It really is.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
It's the same one.
And you guys do have a good band.
We usually do. We got a good band here.
All right, these ones, anywhere you want. It's on stilts, so be careful there. Just sit
Put
anywhere you
camp in the
want.
middle. How's that?
Yeah, you can just hang out here. Grab a microphone. Yep. We have, sure everything's good? Oh, yeah. You're in good shape. All right, guys, I've been looking forward to this for quite some time for a couple of reasons. One, you got good people, and I love to have a show with good friends. Joe, you and I have known each other a long time, since probably one of the greatest email chains in the history of education.
Absolutely. I was going to call that a text group to not incriminate us.
Right.
Yeah, it goes way back, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm hoping people don't check to see how far back it goes.
Well, I tell you what, some of the best stories, coaching advice, and personal attacks were 20 years ago, and we talk about that a lot. But guys, welcome to the show, and what I really want to accomplish by doing this, like I said last year, is I like to tell stories, and I want communities to kind of connect with their programs. I want you to talk about your Lewis County Lions, talk about your all's path, your journey in the profession. Let's have a little bit of fun. We might even spark a bit of controversy too. I don't know. If that's going to.
I'm here for that.
Scott Tackett is here for all of that. But first of all, first things first. Let's talk about your Lewis County Lions basketball team. Talk about your players, your outlook. You know what I think about your team. I saw them this summer. I came away very impressed. You guys think you have a legitimate shot?
We really do. to sum that up, we went to Boyd County, who was number 10 in the state, and 1A or 1B or 2 or whatever you want to call them in the region, and it was a 72-65 ball game, and Coach Hamp and I both got some similar texts like, "Boy, you must have really played well," and we really didn't. We really didn't. We shot 44%, which is not horrible, but we identified some stuff defensively and offensively where we had breakdowns, and if we did a couple more shots and been better defensively, fundamentally,
Right.
that could have been different. But the thing that we came away from that game understanding more about our squad is the fact that we have more toughness and more grit than we had originally thought. We got Julian back with the ball in his hands a lot, Julian Puente, and he's just going to continue to grow, in my opinion. But we got what you like to call the 30-year-old post player,
Drew Noble.
Drew Noble.
He's a grown man.
He's a grown man. He's a horse in the post. He requires some attention down there, And Kyron Ferguson's a lockdown defender. He held Jacob Spurlock to 13 touches and 16 points the other night.
Yeah.
Did a fantastic job on him. Best one-on-one defender I've ever coached, boy or girl.
Wow.
And then Joe and I like to think that we have probably right now the best kept secret in the 16th region and a 6'3" junior named Dalen Bivens. And
The long kid I was
yes,
talking.
yes, he can do anything you want to on a basketball court. He just needs to get as much confidence in himself as we have in him.
Right. And the one player that I noticed over the years grow has been Julian Puente.
Yeah.
And to see him, I didn't expect him to hit 30 burger the other night. But if he could make shots, and I saw his growth this summer, and he's got bigger and stronger, and you guys both know, you're only as good as your point guard.
Sure.
Right? Talk
Sure.
about his growth a little bit.
Well, Hamp and I were talking on the way over and about Julian, and what he provides us. And, he's a gym rat. He never, ever takes a day off. He's in the gym a lot of mornings at 6 a.m. getting shots up. And I told Hamp this summer he never took a day off from the weight room. He changed his body, and he was encouraging others to do the same. He was just fantastic. And, he struggled with the speed of the game at times last year and some decision making.
Yeah, you said not to throw it in the 8th row, right?
That was my instructions to him, yes. And but he has gotten better. The game has slowed down for him a little bit. He's really good in pick and roll. Really good. He makes good decisions, and he can make shots. And at one point the other night, we put him in some middle ball screens, and he scored 14 in a row in the first quarter. 14.
Now, hold on a second. We talk ball screens. To our left, that's not in the camera view, is an assistant coach at Morgan County. And Coach Campbell knows that years ago we used to play Lewis County. Tell me if I'm not wrong here. And if we picked up a Lewis County player full court, what did we expect to see Lewis County do? He knows a high ball screen at about mid-court that decapitated Derek Young, right? So we used to call that the Lewis County high ball screen. Watch for it, they're going to take your head. See, Coach. But it was right on cue there. But that's an identity too of how you play. And I've been around this region a long time too. You can tell when a team is well coached and your players develop. And to see your players develop, how well coached they are, speaks a testament to both of you. Talk a little bit about Coach Hampton's role coming back and joining you, and you used to join him on that same bench on the other row.
Yeah, I was coming off a really bad experience at Brown County High School. The administration, I thought, was vindictive. I thought they were terrible at the time. Yeah, I thought it was a mess. I was getting out of there one way or the other. And as fate would have it, at the state tournament one year, I met Joe, and I won't tell you where we went or what we did, but we became pretty close friends. And Todd Ruckle was kind of I'd see him more than I'd see Joe, and he was kind of the middleman. And he told me, said, Hamp's going to have a position on staff. I think I can talk to Jamie Weddington and maybe get you a teaching position. Would you be interested? And I said 100%. The time I went to Lewis County, and was spent on Joe's staff, the timing was so good because that's exactly what I needed at that point in my life. I needed just to be able to coach basketball and not be harassed by administration or parents, And I will say we've had great support over there, and Hamp allowed me to coach. He allowed me to do a lot of defensive stuff with him. He allowed me to coach and allowed me to be a part of it. Because I'll be honest with you, when I went to Lewis County, I wasn't expected to be there for a year.
Right.
Great people. I spent 7 or 8 years with Hamp on the bench, and I've been after him for a couple years now to come back and join me, but I has such a great impact on me because he allows me to. I'm a lot calmer when he's around. You know what I mean?
Keeps you in check.
He just has a calming influence on me personally. You know, I trust him more than anybody else I've ever coached with, and you know, that's the reason I told you that let's not call him an assistant. He's the associate head coach because I trust his decision making as much or more than I do mine.
People don't realize how many transactions get made on a Tuesday night at the state tournament.
Yes.
There's a lot that happens at the state basketball tournament when it comes to all kinds of different actions of personnel and interviews and things like that, movers and shakers. There's a lot of things that get done. Joe, what's it like for you? How has the game of basketball maybe changed from when you started as a head coach to now being in this role?
That's a lot, you know, a little but a lot. You know, I feel like I still do a lot of the same things I did back when I first started. But, I don't know, you go through different rules of emphasis, so to speak,
Right.
you know, in the officiating. Sometimes we're calling hand checks, sometimes we're not, so you have to adjust.
Right.
We're going to take the ball to the basket, or we're going to try to shoot threes. There's just so many things that go along with that impacts how you have to approach it. And it seems like right now we're like almost like a transfer portal, like in college.
Right.
So it's just wide open.
Free for all?
Free for all, and it's really, to me, it takes so much out of the high school level, what basketball means, especially for the communities. I know, like our community, we don't have a lot to offer, so we're not getting these guys. We're not moving to this county, you know.
Right, but you see that in the regional tournaments when you guys make a run, the crowd that you take that wear that red, white, and blue, and you got a great band, and they, you know, you guys are rocking and rolling, and it creates such an electric atmosphere when you see those communities come together for that one cause.
Absolutely, that was a big part that I really enjoyed when I was coaching. I was still as a head coach. We had tremendous support from the community. I felt like that changed a little bit when I was there because we did have enough success to where at the beginning of my tenure, it was kind of rare for us to go. You know,
Right.
Rare for us to make that trip to Moorhead, and it was a big deal. And everybody went. We had some success, and we got to going fairly regularly. And that newness of it wore off a little bit. We still had a great following.
Well, I'll say this.
But not off the charts following like at the beginning.
I'll say this about that. That's a testament to you because if you can go in, that's a culture change and that's a change in expectations. And when he does that, and I can tell you that from being over there that he changed the culture and he changed the expectations for the basketball program.
And that's where it all starts. You got to have an expectation. You know, you got to be good. You got to have talent. Your talent has to work hard. You got to get bigger, faster, stronger, all that stuff. But a culture speaks volumes. Are you building a team or are you building a program? Mm-hmm. And that's the difference maker. That's why you guys are always been there. You're right there. Especially what you're known for is traditionally you're not known to have good starts to the beginning of the season, but you're playing your best basketball at the end like you were a couple of years ago. You had Boyd County beaten in the regional tournament.
Yeah.
Probably been a 30-point underdog.
Yeah.
Most people would have thought.
Yeah. Well, I think I mentioned this to you the other day. We got talking about teams around the region, and how, some of them get 2 to 4 new dudes a year. I was told that one team in this region has their top 7 or top 9 kids never played middle school basketball there. We identified this senior group as 8th graders as being the next really good group, solid group coming forward. And we moved them up as 8th graders so we could have them in the gym with us. And we kind of pointed to this year. And it is disappointing at times when you never know who your opponent's going to be.
Right.
The jersey may be the same, but you don't know who's going to be in those jerseys from year to year. That's frustrating for me, and I might be an old codger, but that's frustrating with me. But I will say this, there's joy in playing kids that you've seen play in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and you get to see those guys as juniors and seniors. There's a satisfaction and a joy to that, and I wouldn't change it at all.
Right. We have I gave you all some notes of things that we might talk about on the show, or we just kind of, sometimes the best shows are when we just go off the chain and just have conversation. But let's just go ahead. Let's go ahead. There's one question I do want to ask. And we know with how the college game is, transfer, NIL, and this has been brought up before. Do you think the Kentucky High School Athletic Association will look to change the transfer rule bylaw 6? Would something like a one-time transfer for grades 7 through 12, not 9 through 12, because we know there's a lot of middle school recruiting that goes on. But would something like that be helpful? What do you think, Coach?
We talked about that before we went on the air. My thought, that would be great. That would be great if that would go in and it would be implemented and followed to the letter of the law. But what's going to happen with that is going to be, well, yeah, everybody can do one transfer, but we're going to have this exception for this one kid has a special situation, or these 3 kids have a special situation where it's different from this one. So we have to put this loophole in here. And then all these people want to transfer, they find that loophole, and that's what's going on now.
It's a loophole after loophole.
It's a loophole after loophole, and the KHSA doesn't want to fight. They don't want to fight.
No, and I talked to Julian Tackett about that before. He's even told me that they get around 1,500 transfer requests a year.
Right.
I'm like, how do you?
Ridiculous.
How do you go about doing all of that? It's very difficult.
It's ridiculous. And one of the questions you sent us was what's changed or how have kids changed. Kids have changed because of parents, and parents lack a lot of self-awareness these days. They think Johnny's going to Kentucky.
Yeah.
And how many players out of this region get to go to that level? Not very many. And so they're always chasing something.
Right.
Instead of building, they're chasing.
So you can tell.
You can tell that I'm dead set against transfers. If you're going to pick up and move, that's one thing. You know what I mean? And that's what you're supposed to do. But we know that doesn't happen.
Right. And there always, you look at there always is that exception. There is that one situation. Do you punish the 1 out of 100 when 99 are doing it for whatever reason, and then you have a legitimate one that is legitimate? How do you decide what is right and what's not whenever it's really
As you can tell, I've become cynical, because you can cry wolf,
right?
But and the people that actually deserve a transfer or need a transfer are looked at the same way as the guys that thinks he's going to UK, so he's going to go join a super team.
Right. And what we've noticed about it too, we watch the things trickle down, right, in college. We saw the transfers all that happened in high school, but guess what? It's going further than that. You're seeing this go on in middle school, elementary, it's getting younger and younger, and we're ranking kids in the second grade. Come on.
Well, we're all aware of an audio recording that came out a few years ago when that coach told that parent, if you enroll him now, KHSA has no say-so. You know what I mean? So that's why that recruiting is going on at that level, because now I know the KHSA is taking over the middle school as well. Right. But at that point, they were circumventing all the rules. So if you wait till school and enroll him, he said, then there's going to be hoops to jump through and maybe, penalties. But if you do it before ninth grade, you don't have to worry about it. Just bring him on.
It's unique. It's a situation. But you guys, I think that blue-collar approach, the blue crew title, what you've went for years at Lewis County, you have that chip on your shoulder. That's a motivator.
It is.
You're going to play. You're going to compete each and every night. You do have something to prove.
Well, I think Joe will agree with this. Nobody wants to get their teeth kicked in every night, but there's a joy in building, right, Joe?
Absolutely.
You start kids 9th, 10th grade, and watch them play freshman ball in JV. There's a joy in building for me. That's what a true coach does, and I'm not talking about myself. I don't know. I am what I am, but that's the part I enjoy the most is building, developing.
Yeah,
that's what coaches used to do. That's what your coaches used to have to do. Now it's instant gratification.
Let me ask you this, guys, a little sidestep, we'll move around some subjects, but practices, from an X's and O's, how much has the game changed, X's and O's wise, and your preparation and daily practices of what you focus on getting your players better at? Is it went to more skill development individual? How do you do that with team? How's that changed?
Go for it.
Well, everybody's got a trainer now. If you can play at all, everybody goes and gets lessons, so to speak, and they play AAU. So, we spend more time breaking bad habits than we do skill development.
Because they're not going to guard.
No.
If they
AAU, yeah.
That can be a good thing or a bad thing. If they get under the right program with the right people, it's outstanding. But if they get into a place that it's about individuals and about look at me and those type things, and they develop a ton of bad habits, and we've seen that that we battle.
Right.
And that's where I feel like it's going the wrong direction to play. So it's good and it's bad.
I see these videos
Right.
on Facebook and all this stuff. These kids going to trainers and them having 14 dribble scoring moves. You know, that's not practical.
Right.
That's not practical. You don't use that in a game. If you got to go more than 2 or 3 dribbles, you just pound, you beat your head in the sand. You know.
Yeah, and everything changes. And when I had a conversation today where I work, we're talking basketball and teams. I say it's all about matchups.
It
a
is.
lot. You may play really good one night, but there's a reason why you might shoot the ball well. You've watched Kentucky last night. There's a reason why they didn't shoot the ball well. Clemson pretty physical.
Sure.
And they contested every single shot that Kentucky had, and they didn't have wide open looks. And so that's why if kids buy in defensively, you got a real chance to be good. You saw the one kid that played for Clemson last night, worked his tail off, 20 rebounds, probably not the most athletic guy in the world, but
It looked like it, did it?
I guess we're old school, but ask Hamp what we spent 2 hours doing today.
That very thing, pretty much.
Defense,
Defending,
rotate, gap
defending.
responsibilities,
Right.
rotations. We
Yeah.
didn't work on offense this time of year. I wasn't happy with the way we held Boyd County 72, and it could have been so much better.
right?
And we weren't happy with that. And Joe and I had a long conversation that night and the next day. And we watched film yesterday, and then we spent 2 hours today trying to clean up things on the defensive end.
Well-
Where most coaches these days, they want to shoot 35 threes.
Right.
That's great if you go out and get those kids, get the best player from this squad and that squad and that squad that can shoot the basketball. You can play that way.
Right.
We don't have the luxury of doing that, so we're going to focus on the tough things, defense and rebounding.
Guys, December 17th, I wanted to ask you this. You're coming here to West Liberty. You're going to play Morgan County, a team that graduated pretty much the majority of its roster, all of its starters. With Coach Hampton, you've played against Morgan County. You know those battles. You've been to West Liberty a million times. We've had those battles in the EKC tournament in 03 that you all beat us with Tyler Clark, and I had ink pens splattered all over my eye that you calmly wiped off after the game. Talk a little bit about, what's it like? I always want to know what's it like when you play a Morgan County team, and what do you see out of this year's Cougar team when you come here December 17th?
I'll go first on that one. I've noticed for myself personally, just from the game of Boyd, and even the scrimmages we had, and it'll be the same coming here. With my time away, this is my 5th year of retirement. The biggest part personally for me, where I'm behind, is knowing personnel. Before when I was here, I knew who was coming, who every team had left on their roster from the previous year, and that's where I'm having to catch up. So as far as when we come here at the 17th, I'm relying on these guys to do that scouting report and getting that in. I watched the game last night trying to familiarize myself with our next opponent's round a little bit. I feel a lot more comfortable going into that game for me,
Right.
just because I got to see that and scout it. But I've noticed, like I say, personally, just not being here every year, seeing every game, seeing all these players, like I knew everybody's roster pretty much.
Right.
But right now, that's where I've got to catch up.
Right.
Well, I'll say that first of all, let me say that Coach Griffith has done a fantastic job over
Absolutely.
here. The thing I like about Coach Griffith is that he understands his team's strengths and he plays to them.
Yes. 100%.
And he doesn't have a set way he's going to play basketball. He's going to do whatever his team does well.
Right.
And I was impressed with that group this summer. I think it was just like a 5-point ball game or something, and you guys they shot it in that day.
Yeah, we did. Shot the ball really well.
Yeah, and that's indicative of a Morgan County team. I feel like as being a guy from Carter County, not a native of Lewis County,
Right.
I always felt like Morgan County and Lewis County had a lot of things in common when it came to approach and with that sense of toughness. And every time I spent most of my years coaching girls. I hadn't made a lot of trips over here with boys. We went a spell there. When I was with Joe, we went a spell where we didn't come over here.
Right.
So he knows more about the boys' atmosphere. But I just know that since I've been a head coach and even watching from afar, that Morgan County's they're going to come at you, and they're usually going to shoot the ball well. And Coach Griffith usually has a plan.
That's another thing I wanted to point. All the times I came to Morgan, I was coaching against Matthew,
Right.
and I knew what to expect. It's not that way now. So it's not just the players, it's the coaches and the styles that they coach. So, I'm behind on Coach Griffith on how he plays or how he coaches and how he has them play. So If it was against Matthew, I'd have a good idea of what we're
Yeah.
walking into, but it's going to be different.
Right. Yeah, you knew for years we were going to play man-to-man.
Yeah.
Right.
You would get guarded. You knew, our sets. And we were very, very fundamental in what we do. We were very good defensively, but you knew what you were going to do each and every night for 32 minutes.
Yeah, that's for sure. Matthew's a great basketball mind. He really knew the game knows the game of basketball. I would say talk to him in my early years at West Carter at regional tournaments, and pick his brain a little bit. He really knows the game, but I guess I'm old school, but I believe if you play hard and you do the tough things, you get on the floor after basketballs, rebound, and guard, I still think you give yourself a chance to win every night, and Morgan County does that.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for this Morgan County team is the unknown. Nobody's proven. They've not really had any varsity experience. We do think, they're going to match up athletically. They are fast. They're going to be able to shoot at all the positions very well. But what else do you go on? Because you got a tough game. Their opener is at Lawrence County tomorrow night. And to me, even as a coach, man, that's one of the toughest places to play out of region. It's a dark gym. You got Sam Sparks that's sitting up there about 3 rows behind.
Him and Dougie.
Him and Dougie. So, I got to see him tomorrow night when I go over there. But man, it just seems like it's a different environment when you play at Lawrence County. It's a tough place to play. But it's a good group. It's an athletic group. They can shoot the basketball very well. They're going to get after it. But as far as like people predicting this and that, I'm like, I have no idea.
Well, I can tell you that I know what you think of us, and I know that that game's been on my mind. And I told Hamp on the way over that you guys lost a kid this past year. If that kid's here, you guys are in the mix for sure.
Absolutely. 100%.
But you 100% can compete on a nightly basis with just about anybody in this region, in my estimation. If that's who you are, if what we saw this summer is who you guys are, is who Morgan County is, you guys can compete with anybody.
Yeah, it's I kind of like want to lay like it's a potentially like I think this team can compete and really surprise a lot of people. But it's also a team. You can beat by anybody. You just never know
That's a terrible
about the
feeling.
matchup.
That's a
It's
terrible
about the
feeling.
matchup. It's like when we played you guys this summer, Morgan County did. We got up double digits in the first half, shooting the lights out,
Yeah.
but your strength and your size kind of wore us down and got you the lead in the second half. But it did prove that at certain positions we're going to be able to give some people fits.
Well, they say styles make fights,
That's
and,
right.
I coached a bunch of runts when I was at Round County, and we had some pretty good success. So, with the right scheme and the right approach and the mentality, you can overcome some of that stuff. And I
it's
feel
a
like
winning
Morgan-
culture. Yeah.
Morgan County's got those pieces.
Yeah, that's right. And they've got used to the winning.
Sure.
They've won 46 games in 2 years,
Sure.
2 district titles. A little different question for you guys. A little bit of talk about this, and I don't know how much you want to get into it, but what if there was a realignment of the 16th region? I've heard some chatter about possible realignment when schools consolidate. Do you see things changing? Do you see some new schools coming in? Do you see some 16th region schools going out? Have you heard anything?
I'll tell you my thought. I don't know. I've heard rumors. I think maybe we discussed some with our text messages before, but I don't know where it's going. We went through it before. You guys got moved to a different, in our spot.
Yeah, that didn't work out
62nd.
very well either.
You got moved in our spot in the 62nd. We got moved to Fairview spot in the 63rd. We didn't want to leave. We were comfortable where we were. But I can tell you this much, if they're going to do it, we don't have any choice because we had some people locally didn't want to move. Didn't matter. So we don't really have a choice in what happens there. That's going to be handed down by the state if and when it does happen.
Like when the Carter County schools consolidate,
Right.
East and West Carter,
It's a 3-team district.
you've got to do something there. What do you do?
Does Lawrence come back? I've heard that from different people that they want to.
Right.
I don't know. I know that Chandler down there plays a bunch of 16th region games,
Right.
8-9 a year, which could probably because of distance.
Yeah.
And instead of having to go on the other side of Pike County and get games.
Yeah.
Hamp mentioned Montgomery County on the way up.
I've heard that.
Fleming County wanting to go to the 10th. He even told me he heard that we might go to the 10th. I don't know.
Maysville St. Patrick.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I-
So
I know one thing. We don't need Montgomery County back here. We got enough people going out and collecting talent and bringing that cat back.
You don't want to have to compete against that too.
No.
Rick Barker's over there. He's about to choke on his burrito.
Right or
after
wrong.
that. He about choked him up on that one. So we talk.
Coach Tackett and I discussed that
Yeah.
as well. I think he might have been waiting on that cue to get
I was waiting
that.
to get that.
That's perfect. Well, what do you think of this? Here's another thing. Morehead State University obviously is a great home to the 16th regional tournament. Being able to play on a college floor is pretty electric. Our good friend Kelly Wells is the athletic director there at Morehead State. But is there any discussion, talk, or thought about playing a regional tournament back at the site of a high school gym, such as a Greenup, Boyd, Woods Round, whatever, but getting that atmosphere back? What do you guys think?
When I was the athletic director before I retired, that subject was brought up at policy board meetings, and I can't say it was 50-50, but there were some for that. Personally, for me, I was kind of for that. Our school district as a whole, from the superintendent on down, I don't think they were as much as I was, but personally, I wouldn't mind to see that at all. You know, you play all year on a high school floor. You get to the regional tournament, now you're on a different floor. There's, you know, it's different entry points because you get that 10 feet there in the middle that extends out how your offense starts.
Right.
It's an adjustment. You used to get those practice days at Morehead, you know,
Right.
and that was huge. If you could get on a college floor to get used to it just long enough, whether it's an hour or 2 hours, to just make those adjustments. How you need to start your offense, where you need to start from, that distance it's going to take to make that full court pass. You know,
It's big. It's different.
it's an adjustment. So, and there's different lines on the court now. So, there's a lot of things. It's an adjustment. I think it's
I know
great
it's-
for the kids to get to play at Morehead.
Right.
But also, you know, you play all year on that high school length floor, and then you get the biggest game of the year, and you're on this totally different space. So, and it's not just that, you know, the freestanding goals. It's different.
Yeah,
It's totally different.
it is different, and I kind of want to see that again. I'll be honest.
Well, I'll take the opposite approach to that,
All right.
and I'll tell you why. Is because when I was coaching at Round County, we were obviously very successful. And I can tell you that those 3 games, if you win a regional championship, those 3 games on a college floor are invaluable when you go to the state tournament.
Yes.
Invaluable. All the stuff that he just mentioned, now you've grown accustomed to that a little bit, and it allows you to compete differently. You know,
Yes, I definitely can see that side of it.
That's
See, we never got there.
and you know,
We made that far.
well, and I'll tell you that I don't feel like that. For instance, Boyd County's one of the co-favorites this year in the region. I just don't feel it's fair for Boyd County to host a regional tournament. In 1985, West Carter had our best shot at going to the state tournament, and for some reason, that year, Greenup County won the region. Guess where the regional tournament was played?
Yeah,
It was at Greenup County.
I think you beat Morgan County in overtime in
Yeah,
the
we
first
did.
round.
Sure did.
I tell you, it was a bad call in that game. You want to know what it was?
Which one?
I'm sure it's more.
Yeah, it was. I think this is right. Perry Allen, if he's watching, called Bill Allen for some sort of flop and a technical foul for faking a charge. Is
Oh,
that
wow.
right?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
Bill
That
Allen?
seems like-
No, if it was 85, it wasn't Bill.
It was 85.
It was 80. Okay, then there was the 84 year.
84, I graduated.
So
So,
that's-
they were much more successful after I left.
Yeah,
After
that's
I quit
right.
playing.
No, but I remember that regional tournament at Greenup County, and as a kid, that was electric to me.
You know the only explanation? Because it had been at Morehead before that.
Yeah,
And I've asked people why the 1 year, and it was at Morehead the year after.
but they moved it for that
For
one
that
year.
1 year. And
Just-
the only explanation I ever got for that was because they had promised Greenup County a regional tournament.
That might
Just so
stop.
happened when they had a 7-footer and
Yeah.
a couple 6'6" kids.
Yeah,
You know, I just don't feel, I feel like that home
I
court
agree
advantage.
That gives them a huge advantage.
It gives
You have
those guys a
all
home court.
places.
Because just to be honest, Lewis County's never going to get it. It's going to be Boyd County. It's going to be, you know,
Boyd or Greenup are the
Boyd
two.
and Greenup. It's going to be
Yeah.
Boyd and Greenup. That's where it's going to be. And I just don't think that's fair to the other, you know, 6, 8 teams, whatever it is in the regional tournament.
Yeah. So what's your final answer on that, Joe? What do you think?
I
Yeah,
see
you're
both
not.
sides of it. You know, if I had to vote, I'd probably vote for it. One thing, you know, what Scott's saying too, you know, if their district, we get to play several games on Greenup's floor, being in that district, and if they host the district, several more. So it's not totally a strange court for us, like it could be.
Means a
for some
lot.
other- It could be a little bit more of a home court for us in that sense, but it definitely gives that home team a huge advantage that you don't want any team to have when you go to the regional tournament.
Speaking of environments, what's the toughest place to play inside the 16th region, in your opinion, as a coach, to take a team and compete?
Go ahead and talk about your days there.
Well,
Yeah, I want to hear this.
Elliott was
Yeah.
always tough to play, but they were pretty dang good too.
Exactly.
That always makes it tough anywhere.
Even before
Good teams make it tough
before
to
they
play.
were really good, it was still hard to win over there. So I'm going to put them up there pretty high. Morgan, when we come over here, it's always a dogfight. I don't know if it's the trip over here or it's like 2 hours or whatever it takes to get over here, but it's always a dogfight when we come here. I was going to say something about driving over here, driving at 5:30, getting ready to play a JV game, and walking in, and two girls varsity teams were warming up, and our
Really?
JV parents have to pack up and go home after driving 2 hours because there's no JV games.
Somebody forgot to tell you. That's
Oh,
what they said.
Somebody
no.
forgot to tell me that.
What year was that?
It's
It wasn't the AD, was it?
No, you weren't.
It wasn't me.
No, I'd have got on you for that. No,
But a lot of interesting
That happened to
things
us.
have
That
happened when Lewis County's been here. I remember when I was the
Well-
athletic director and we had a nice brawl in the stands.
That might be the story he was telling me on the way over.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was we weren't playing Morgan, though. We were playing Lee County that day.
Yeah,
It was
that's
in
right.
your classic, your
Is
showcase.
there video of that on YouTube or something?
I
Have I
think
seen,
Maury Povich has
have I
that.
seen that video? I've seen that.
That's
video.
that's on
Yeah.
like True TV now.
True,
Yeah.
that's what it was. I knew it was.
True TV.
Oh wow! You talk about the toughest places to play. When I was a girls coach at Brown County, it was always Fleming. Christy Orm was a girls coach down
Oh, yeah.
there, and she hated Brown County. And for a girls game, those were the best attended games that we played inside the region. Always hard to play down there. I was telling Ham, I don't know what it is. Even as a girls coach and now as a boys coach, my winning percentage at East Carter is awful. I can't hardly win a game in that gym.
It must be the rims.
I don't know what it is. We went over there the other day in a scrimmage game and shot 6 of 16 or something from the free throw line.
Yeah, there's just certain gyms like you take your team into, and you just it don't matter what team or what year, you're just not going to shoot the ball well. You don't know what it is.
In my years with Hamp, I don't know how many times we beat Brandon over there.
Yeah, it's very rare. It was rare.
I mean, I couldn't. We just can't win.
Yeah, a lot of people think Lewis County is a pretty tough place to play too.
If we're decent, it is.
Yeah, right.
It is. There's been some good teams and some good battles at Lewis County, and that place gets rocking too. And it depends on which gym you play in.
Right.
Can make a difference
The
too.
district tournament over there 2 years ago was as wild an atmosphere. We beat Russell in the finals. Was as wild an atmosphere as I've coached in. It was awesome.
And that's kind of what you think
Packed.
about it as a coach. Are those moments?
Ham's told me some stories about some battles with Greenup and water bottles or pop bottles flying on the floor.
Yeah.
Those are great stories. You should tell some of those.
I don't know that I can.
We can
yeah.
change this to Real Talk Live with Steve McKenzie. We'll do that after hours, right?
Sure, but no, that was probably the most intense game I ever coached. Was at home, first round of the district tournament. We were playing Green County, and both teams were really good. You can talk about seeding and how teams fall, but sometimes your best teams still end up playing each other in the first round. We felt like that's where we were playing against Greenup that year, and it was probably of all the years I coached one of the most intense games because I knew we had a chance. This was in 2011 to make it to the region, to advance in the region, to have a shot. And Greenup was, right there with us. We'd split with them in the regular season. I think they beat our heads in pretty good at their place. So, the water bottle got thrown onto the floor. Coaches having to meet with the officials.
It just
at
means
half court,
more in the
and
16
it
than the
was
60
It
seconds.
does.
it was a cluster, I'll put it that way. But we actually won that game and ended up winning the district and beat Boyd the first round of the region. And that's when Brown County was pretty daggone good that year.
Yeah, DJ and Adam Williams.
We ran
Let me
into
ask
a
you a question.
buzzsaw.
Let me ask you a question, Chris. I lost my train of thought there. You got to talk about Brown County. I'll get back to that. I can't remember what I was going to say.
What's it like? How hard is it to coach a team versus a friend? That you have a coaching friend over there because heat of the battle in between the lines, you're going to hate each other for a while.
Yeah.
May say things you don't want to, you might not mean, but you're going to get after each other. Your handshake may be a blow by.
For me,
but how hard is that?
when I was a girls coach, Jeff Brown was my best.
Okay.
He was my best friend in coaching.
Yes, he
at that
was.
time.
I know that.
I got to coach the Kentucky Ohio All-Star girls, and guess who I called to be one of my assistants? And we went to Northern Kentucky and played. And Jeff and I were very close, and I miss talking to him.
Yes.
These days, my best friend as an opponent is probably Greg Atkins. He and I talk a lot, and I love Greg, and I want him, wish him all the success in the world. But you wouldn't know it by the way we coach against each other.
Right.
You know, he's very intense, I'm
Right.
very intense, and you know, we'll call each other the next day, congratulate each other, and talk about the next opponents, try to help each other win basketball games. So it is hard in a sense, but in the moment, all that goes out the window. You know that.
Right, you're trying to win.
Yeah.
You're trying to compete in between those lines because you're representing a community and a school.
Yep.
And you know what? If you don't win basketball games long enough, they're going to get rid of it.
That's a
it's your
fact.
career.
Yep.
So you've got to take that seriously. You know, Greg was the same way. When I was the AD as a coach, you know, he always took time to ask me how I was feeling health-wise. I had some health issues similar to what Kelly Wells has. And during that time, he always asked me first, how's family and how you feeling?
100%.
You know, that means a lot.
Sure it does.
To people.
100%.
You want to choke his guts out between those lines and those district tournaments and put him
Absolutely.
back in his box. He's out here. He's got to be teed up. But you know what? People are real and friendships are real after that's over.
Absolutely. And you know, some of the best coaches I know didn't have great records. Jeff Brown was the hardest cat in the region to prepare for because he knew the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he about got us at home one year and came out in a 3-2, had a 5'11" girl in the middle of that 3-2. We beat him on the last second shot. And Greg Atkins is going to play 19 different defenses against you. He's calling numbers over there. It sounds like he's audible and at the line of scrimmage, but he keeps you off balance. You know what I mean? And I say that these guys that are winning these championships, I don't regard them, most of those guys, I'll say that,
Right.
as the best X's and O's guys in the region. Some of the best coaches in our region, like this guy, you coach what you get, what you've got, what you dealt with, and you coach him up, and you do the best job you can, and you try to put him in a position to be successful.
Yeah.
And Joe and Jeff and Greg are all in that category, the great X and O guys.
To make that a college football analogy, I always thought Mark Stoops was really good at recruiting and developing players. When he could go get a 2-star out of Ohio or 3-star, develop them in a couple of years, impact players looking like Josh Allen or Lynn Bowden, some diamonds in the rough. But the game changed. So that don't work anymore because now he's got to go pay millions of dollars just to assemble the best lineup, and the best lineup is who wins games. Now he's 4-8, and yeah, I'm upset too as a Kentucky fan, and I was upset at the offense and all that stuff. But I always thought he was really good at developing players, but the game is different now.
You know, and you know, my approach to basketball has always been: you got to defend and rebound. Offensively, we're going to attack the rim, get the best shot available, or get to the free throw line. That's completely changed now.
Right.
The game is centered on, you know, these analytics and shooting either layups or 3-point shooters. Well, that's great. That's great if you get a bunch of kids that can knock down shots. But if you don't, you've got to play a different way. You've got to try to find a way to win. And we're kind of somewhere in between this year. Wouldn't you agree,
We
Joe?
haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, we're somewhere in between.
But it's early, and
Right.
you guys have a rough, you know, your schedule here the next few weeks, you're competing each and every night. It's different, you know, and how you approach the game may be a little bit differently. Your practice shortens up a little bit, and you're more focused on yourself, but also the teams. What coaches or what mentors do you guys kind of contribute to developing you and your philosophies as a head coach? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, for me, I kind of knew I wanted to coach all along. So, you know, I started coaching in middle school, even as a player. You know, I think back to the lessons I had then. I tried to be very observant for those I was around when I was either not coaching or as a player. Kind of taking mental notes. I can think back to, like I said, starting as middle school, when I first got into this coaching and going to some of the high school games with different coaches that were there. I still, to this day, will pull something from all those guys. You know, I still run an out of bounds play that I learned from
Right.
1987 or 8 off of the coach. I still give part of the speech I learned from another coach. You know, that I tried to take those mental notes along the way and take what I thought worked. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. And also you learn what not to do. You know,
Right.
well, I wouldn't do that if I was coaching.
Exactly.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do this or that. You know, Merle Kidwell, very great basketball mind. I learned a ton, you know, working with him. You talk about coaching against, you know, friends and so forth. I'm coaching against the guy I coached with, you know, when he moved away. So talk about battles. Those were about as intense as they get as well. But and you don't beat each other's brains out.
Right.
That's what we're trying to do.
Bragging rights.
And absolutely, and that handshake was brief at times. And, you know, you're going to talk to him. It may be an hour after the game, y'all are texting, talking, or it may be a couple of days. But
Right.
you get over it. You move past it. But, you know, worked a lot with him, learned a lot. Also learned a lot what not to do. You know, every coach, I think,
But you adapt.
brings good and bad, yes. And I tried to take those things. I felt like, hey, this will work. You know, when he came over and started helping, after he stepped away for a couple of years, things that he did and he brought to the table. You know, every coach that's worked with me as an assistant, or I've worked for underneath them as an assistant, tried to just take those things. You know, so I can't point. I was with Merle the longest. You know, obviously
Right.
early when I learned a lot. You know, the scouting he did was unbelievable. Very good at X's and O's, and I still run sets that we ran when Merle was at Little Scouting. So if they're tried and true and they work for you, you don't need to reinvent the wheel.
That's right.
Well, it was different for me because I just turned 58 years old, and I didn't start coaching until I was 37. My first job was a freshman coach at West Carter, and I was 37 years old. And we were so bad, that bunch I was coaching was so bad that Stan McGlone wouldn't let us. He wouldn't let us practice.
Wouldn't let you practice.
We had to go to the National Guard Army to practice. So I'd always considered myself a student of the game, but you know I was winging it. I was watching stuff on TV. I was reading all I could read. I was listening to other coaches trying to develop a plan in my mind. You know, and that was even the case at Round County. I don't know if you understand how I got thrust into that role. I went over there to teach,
Right.
and Troy Lee asked me to help him on the girls' side, and I did. And Troy Lee had an illness, and he had to step down. Originally, I was going to help Don Daniel, but he had hired another cat, and I felt like I wouldn't have as much input
Right.
as if I did with Troy Lee. Troy Lee got sick. They called me down. You know, you're the girls' coach now. So again, you know, not having 2 or 3 years at West Carter and not being super involved with the head guy, I was just I was feeling my way around a little bit. And it wasn't really until I got to sit with Joe, because I don't have that vast background. It wasn't really like I got with Joe until I started learning some of these intricacies. You know, because I sat on the bench with him a long time, spent a lot of long hours in the gym with him. And the one thing I'll take from my time with Joe has nothing to do with X's and O's. It's the way he builds relationships.
That's where it's at.
And the way he approaches officials and parents and interacts with kids. I don't do as good a job as he does at it, but what little good I do is because of watching him interact with others.
That's a perfect segue to one of we got a few more minutes, I think. What is it, almost 8? We can go a few more minutes. And one of the questions I had, and I want to know, is as a coach, what do you want your players to learn from you and take with them when they leave Lewis County High School playing for the Lions? Because it's more than X's and O's. You just said it's about building relationships. You guys have done that. So what do you want them to exemplify?
Oh, gosh. You know, you not take shortcuts. One thing we stress a lot, you know, you're going to take shortcuts now, you're going to take them the rest of your life. You know, that's not going to get you anywhere. So we try to teach them those things that will advance their life and make it better. No matter if you're playing basketball, playing checkers, or out in life as your job, there's things you've got to do. Accept that responsibility. You know, be responsible for who you are and what you do.
So in other words, when you're teaching one of your kids how to set a proper back screen, you don't want him to have to do an effort and not be fundamentally sound, because if you're not doing it the right way, a couple of bad things are going to happen. And that can relate to life. We want to do it right each and every time. It's kind of like Nick Saban.
Accountability.
You know, accountability. You got to set the screen the right way. You got to cut the right way.
That's one of the words that came to my mind, is accountability. You know, I try to teach the kids that I interact with, don't make excuses. Because you know what? Once you walk out those front doors, nobody cares about your excuses. Nobody's going to have any sympathy for you. At some point, you're going to have a family to take care of, and you're going to have a job you're going to have to go to every day and work hard. So if you come in here and work hard, and you get used to hard work, and you get used to owning your mistakes and taking accountability for your actions, good or bad, those are the things that are going to benefit you going forward. And
That's hard. That's hard for a teenager to do at times.
It is. They don't understand it, but I think a lot of them will understand it. They do understand it later, because I know I've had kids,
Right.
not really maybe in those words, but tell me, thanks for being hard on me, Coach.
Right. Yeah.
That's good stuff right there. You know, we just hired a baseball coach at Morgan County, Dwayne Willis from Perry Central, and it's just unbelievable what he's been able to do behind the scenes in our baseball workouts. We just finished a workout in the gym a couple hours ago before the show. We were there with a lot of our guys. He was saying the same things that you guys just said about his coaches that influenced him in college or whatever. And you can just tell when a coach has it, because they're constantly trying to get the most out of their athletes, but also build them for their next step in life. That's one of the most important things for a coach. It's not all about wins and losses and X's and O's. It's about what are you producing when these kids walk off the floor.
100%. And, that's the one thing, again, I wasn't born in Lewis County, and I didn't go to school at Lewis County, but I consider myself a Lewis County now. I've been over there 13 years, and I'll retire there, and I'll always be a Lion. But at a place like Lewis County, if you get caught up in wins and losses, you're going to be disappointed.
Absolutely.
So year in, year out, we have to develop our kids, and you're going to be disappointed if you're going to expect 20 to win
Right.
20 every
I was
year.
going to say, I wouldn't have lasted long if that was the expectation, honestly, because we had some rough
But
years.
I will say this, and I'm going to say we do it the right way.
Right.
We do it the right way, and we take the kids that we have, we do the very best job we can with them, and we hope that they leave a little more mature and a little more ready for life than they did when it came to us.
That's what it's all about, because a lot of times these kids for your team or Morgan County or whether it's East Carter, West Carter,
Blue collar.
They are going to remember a lot of their interactions with their coaches, the teammates, the bus rides home, what it was like when you lose, what it was like when you win, the highs and the lows. And it's just amazing what kids can learn through sports, but also when you have good mentors, when you have good head coaches that truly care about them developing as a person.
I think kids are not fooled. They know if you're genuine or not. They didn't know me real well. I've been away long enough. Some of these kids who are seniors were eighth graders. I think I'm saying that right.
That's right. Drew sat on the bench over there.
And
Seventh or eighth grade.
So I knew them a little bit. Some of them, I'm asking name. What's this kid's
Right.
name? So,
Right.
but
Joe's really good at giving nicknames too.
Yeah.
I got to remember who they are. So sometimes I have to give them nicknames.
Everybody in Lewis County has a nickname.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
I blame that on Corky Prater.
Cop,
He's got a nickname for
Cord,
everyone.
Ween,
Yeah.
Hamp.
But like I said, it's fun being back for me. I'm kind of changing the subject here, but you talk to him about him coming when he came. My journey back, he did ask me a couple of years, so it took me. I need to be off a little bit. I want to follow up and say I felt like I kind of fell back into his shoes the way he came to me. I was in need of some help. I know he lost 2 assistants this year. One became the girls' head coach, Brett Wampler, and Seth Wallingford is the baseball head coach. And I've been away just long enough to kind of want to get back in and do something. And he always let me come in if he needed a little help here and there, just enough to whet my appetite for what I missed.
It's odd. He always,
that
Always shows up when teams are good.
well, no, he always showed up around tournament time. I think that's when he got the itch the most.
You know,
Right?
this guy-
He didn't miss that December, January.
This guy right here decides I'm gonna take a softball team and I'm just going to go to the state Final Four in one.
Hey, let me
I
speak
mean,
on
who
that.
does that?
His
Right?
coaching wasn't it?
It's just great
Let me
coaching.
speak on that. I will say this. He's a lot like Larry Sloan in the sense that, no, seriously, if you can coach,
Yeah.
you can coach, because again, it's about building relationships. And this dude right here, he won't say it, but I know the girls on that softball team absolutely loved him, would have ran through a wall for him, and were disappointed when he was a one and done.
Yeah.
But
Well,
he can just coach.
Thank you.
That's what I like. Like, I think this show tonight's been a lot of fun because we could carry on for hours
Yeah.
and we can talk. But I don't, I want to say this. I really genuinely care and appreciate my friendships that I made in the coaching realm.
It shows.
Well, I appreciate that because, sometimes he's the battle. Well, that's Chris. He's a Morgan County guy. He's like, to be honest,
There were some times.
There were some times.
Go ahead.
but how genuinely I appreciate the coaching friendships that I made over these years mean a lot to me because I learned a whole lot more from people like Joe, Merle, Brad, Henley, Hump. I mean, the list goes on. Brad Carr, our text buddies, and we wear each other out. Probably 30 minutes from now, we're going to be getting a text. We're going to be getting personal and calling each other names. But it means a whole lot more when you develop that camaraderie with great people. And that's what it's all about.
Well, I told Hamp on the way over here, you and I kind of hit it off early on, because I told him, I said, if I had my way, You would have been the head basketball coach at Brown County in 2009 or 10.
Yeah,
or
I
whatever it
remember.
was.
Kind of flirted around with
You
that.
flirted with that, and I didn't know anybody, and I didn't have any pull, but the people I did know, I put a word in, And I was telling him that if I'd had my way, you'd have been there.
Well, I appreciate that. Not all people know, I was kind of a finalist, for that job.
You were, for sure.
But then I always joked with Thacker. I said, "Man, that was a heck of a hire that they hired you instead of me, because you get a really good player that comes from Somerset, and you go to the state finals and probably should have won it
Yeah.
if they would have had the instant replay." And Sean and I
Yeah.
have become really good friends.
Yeah.
But no, it means a lot. It really means a lot to me to develop those relationships. And December 17th, we want to beat you all by 50 points. In
I hope
between
you
the
don't.
lines.
I hope you don't.
Yeah, we're going to get Scott Tackett back in the coach's box, tee him up. What's Hamp
Right,
out here
right.
doing?
He's an
after-
assistant. Make him sit down.
Make
Right.
him sit down. You can't listen to the assistant coaches. But when it's all over, said and done, one of the goals is, for me, is to go and hug the opponent and the friends, win or lose, because there's more to it than what the scoreboard says.
Going back real quick, you talked about how we kind of met. I think back to when we first met. We both had a very similar journey. When we started in this business, I was an assistant coach, and you were an assistant with Matthew. You was an
Right.
assistant as well.
Yeah.
Correct. And
I
same
became
year.
Matthew's assistant when he took over as
Was that-
the head coach about 4 games in, and interestingly enough, the first win we ever got was against Lewis County Joe Hampton.
I remember that game. It was
That's-
like a football
should've
game
said
at
that.
Greenup County.
Yeah, it was at Greenup County tournament.
Yeah, I remember that well. We brought that trophy back over here and left it in your locker room.
Oh, that's a great dig right there.
That 4th place trophy that we got for
Yeah.
for getting 4th. But
That's good
we
stuff.
both stepped in. I started that year as an assistant as
Yeah.
well, and stepped in. I was actually 1 game into it when the head coach Ed Applegate stepped down, and so from that point on, I've known you pretty much my whole varsity coaching career. So we do go way back.
I want to thank you for tonight for not mentioning what I was wearing tonight at the Morgan County when we came to Morgan County.
I know what people wear. I have a photograph.
Oh, yeah, we've discussed it a couple. I want to appreciate you. Thank you for not telling the viewers how I look.
Blue Royal pants, right? They were Royal Morgan County blue.
Almost electric.
Oh, electric blue. He knew what he was doing.
Yellow shirt.
Yellow shirt.
Blue-
We're in Morgan County colors.
blue and
Coming in
yellow tie.
2006. Beat us on our home floor. Our team was 22-3, and we just for 32 minutes.
I credit every bit of that to that outfit. I put the voodoo on you.
The food. That's right. Well, guys, this has been a lot of fun. And Scott Tackett, Joe Hampton, coaches at Lewis County High School, the Lions, you got a fantastic ball club. I look forward to seeing you guys come here in a couple of weeks back to West Liberty. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for having us, man.
Thank
Really
you,
appreciate
Scott.
it.
Scott Tackett, Joe Hampton. This has been Chris Trusty, Monday Night Live on a Wednesday night. And this show has been a lot of fun, but I also want to thank my sponsors once again. Mi Acapulco Restaurant, thank you, Perfecto, for everything that you do. We've got West Liberty Vet Clinic, Bank of the Mountains, Commercial Bank, UK St. Clair Healthcare, and Vicki Ofield with Paragon Partners Real Estate. I want to thank the voice of the Cougars, Rick Barker. Special shouts out to people that make our technology work, Mountain Telephone, Appalachian Wireless. You guys are the best. And until next week, I think the next show could be, it might be the official show. Either Davey Anderson is coming on again, or next Saturday we've got Chris Bailey and Jim Caldwell, my buddies from WKYT, are going to come back. They're going to try to watch the Cougars play Raceland that night. So we'll see if we can get into some shenanigans, Morgan and Magoffin County style. Rick, you know all about that, right? Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much. And until next time, this is Chris Trusty signing off. Thanks, and so long, everybody.